The massive Concordat vessel materializes above Earth without warning, its obsidian surface absorbing sunlight rather than reflecting it. For millennia, the Galactic Concordat has ruled thousands of species with an iron fist, assigning evolutionary tiers that determined rights, territories, and resources. Commander Elena Reyes watches through the viewport as the alien shuttle descends, her hand instinctively tightening on her sidearm. This isn't first contact as humanity imagined, but a summons to be evaluated and assigned their place in the cosmic hierarchy. During the tense first meeting, the Concordat's envoy, High Assessor Vexthor, displays humanity's entire military capacity on holographic screens, casually demonstrating they've been monitoring Earth for decades. With 6 eyes that never blink and skin like polished metal, he smugly informs Elena that humans will likely be classified as a Tier 4 species, essentially destined for resource extraction duties and limited to Earth's solar system. Your species still fights over melanin levels and invisible borders, Vexthor says dismissively, while we reshape stars. As Elena escorts the High Assessor back to his shuttle, she notices something odd. A subtle change in his demeanor when interacting with other alien species in his entourage. The hierarchy isn't just for humans. It permeates every interaction. When a junior aide fumbles a datapad, Vexthor's casual cruelty confirms Elena's suspicions. Something is deeply wrong with the entire system. That night, while government officials celebrate the honor of being included in galactic society, Elena meets secretly with a hand-picked team to prepare contingency plans. The Concordat might control thousands of worlds, but they've never met humans before. The next morning, Elena finds herself summoned to the temporary Concordat embassy, a gleaming spire that had materialized overnight in the heart of Geneva. Inside, the temperature fluctuates wildly between freezing and sweltering. The lighting pulses at frequencies just painful enough to cause a migraine, and the gravity shifts unpredictably. Deliberate disorientation tactics. Vexthor reclines on an elevated platform, forcing Elena to look up at him. 2 smaller alien species, one with translucent skin revealing pulsing internal organs, another resembling a collection of metallic spheres in constant motion, flank him like living furniture. We've reviewed your species assessment parameters, Vexthor announces. Your delegation will depart for central evaluation in 3 planetary rotations. Prepare 40 human specimens representing peak cognitive and physical capabilities. Specimens. Elena keeps her voice neutral despite her revulsion. These are people, High Assessor. Volunteers with rights and rights. Vexthor's laughter sounds like grinding metal. Rights are earned through evolutionary achievement. Your species barely qualifies for basic consideration. Elena notices the translucent alien flinch at Vexthor's tone. Their eyes, dozens of tiny crystalline structures, briefly meet hers, conveying something unmistakable despite their alien nature: shame. Additionally, Vexthor continues, our preliminary scans indicate promising mineral deposits in your Arctic and deep ocean regions. Tier 4 extraction quotas will begin immediately following your classification. That won't be possible, Elena replies evenly. Those regions are protected by international. Your internal agreements are irrelevant. Vexthor interrupts. The Concordat supersedes all primitive governance structures. As she leaves the embassy, Elena activates her subdermal communicator, untraceable technology developed in secret by Earth's unified defense labs. Contingency Prometheus, she whispers, 3 days to prepare. And reach out to Director Chen. We need the Chimera protocol ready. The aliens might have starships that cross galaxies, but humans have something the Concordat clearly doesn't expect: a deep-rooted resistance to tyranny, regardless of its origin. The Concordat's evaluation station, hanging in orbit around Proxima Centauri, resembles a massive mechanical spider, its 8 symmetrical arms housing different testing facilities. Elena's diplomatic vessel looks tiny as it docks in one of the metallic appendages. Inside, her 5-person team faces an immediate barrage of sensory disorientation, lights calibrated for alien eyes, atmospheric compositions shifting without warning, and gravity fluctuations that send human stomachs lurching. An unfortunate oversight, explains Senior Evaluator Zictra, her insectoid mandibles clicking in what Alina recognizes as poorly disguised amusement. The tests grow increasingly degrading. In one chamber, Alina watches through one-way glass as Dr. Kai Chen, Earth's leading xenobiologist, is forced to solve elementary mathematical problems, while various alien species, the mantis-like Vrex, crystalline Folarians, and gaseous mist collective, observe and take notes. When Kai deliberately makes a simple calculation error, one of the observers actually applauds. Excellent. They display appropriate cognitive limitations. The Folarian researcher says, crystalline face fracturing into what might be a smile. The breaking point comes during the cooperation stress assessment. Alina's team is separated, and each placed in chambers with aliens from supposedly compatible species. They're given impossible tasks requiring coordination through an intentionally flawed translation system. Despite the setup, the humans manage unprecedented levels of non-verbal communication with their alien partners. Later that night, a small alien with bioluminescent spots, Pelax of the Mist Collective's servant caste, finds Alina alone in her quarters. Risking execution, they show her classified testing data. Humans have demonstrated an unusual capacity for both cooperation with strangers and fierce resistance to domination. The evaluators are concerned. Pelax whispers, voice like wind through reeds. Yesterday, I accessed restricted archives. These tests, they're manipulated to maintain power. The entire evolutionary tier system is fabricated. Species that score too high or question the system are isolated or eliminated. Your team's performance has been noticed. As if to confirm this revelation, the next day's test is clearly rigged. A survival simulation where humans significantly outperform expectations, despite the evaluators secretly increasing the difficulty mid-test. When Alina confronts Senior Evaluator Zictra with subtle evidence of the manipulation, the alien's compound eyes narrow with genuine fear before quickly being masked by contempt. After the day's final assessment, Alina finds herself isolated in a featureless chamber. The walls pulse with sickly green light, and a voice emerges from everywhere and nowhere. Commander Reyes intones High Assessor Vexthor, your species presents anomalies. A holographic display materializes, showing recordings of her team's tests. Particular emphasis is placed on moments of human adaptability. Dr. Chen using musical patterns to communicate complex ideas when verbal translation failed. Lieutenant Rodriguez improvising tools from seemingly incompatible alien technology. Specialist Wong demonstrating unprecedented empathy by instinctively shielding a smaller alien from a simulated cave-in. Your evolutionary profile is inconsistent, Vexthor continues. Limited technological development, yet remarkable behavioral plasticity. Crude biological systems, yet innovative problem-solving. Explain these contradictions. Alina carefully controls her expression. Perhaps your evaluation metrics are flawed. The air turns frigid as Vexthor materializes physically in the chamber. Your species requires additional testing. We've completed your standardized assessments. Alina objects. According to Concordat protocols, we're entitled to. Protocols apply to classified species. Vexthor interrupts, looming over her. Your classification has been deferred. You will remain here indefinitely. As he exits, Alina activates her subdermal communicator once more. The microscopic quantum transmitter, undetectable by Concordat technology, sends a single encoded burst through space-time. Chimera Protocol authorized. Phase 1. Back on Earth, in a facility deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Director Chen receives the signal. Turning to the assembled international coalition of scientists, military leaders, and political representatives, he simply nods. Begin. Alina paces anxiously in the station's dimly lit maintenance corridor, a rare blind spot in the Concordat's omnipresent surveillance. Her breath fogs in the deliberately chilled air, another petty reminder of human frailty in alien environments. The door hisses open. 3 figures enter cautiously. More oval of the amphibious Neridal, skin glistening with protective moisture. Ticress, a silicon-based Petran, whose crystalline body refracts light in hypnotic patterns, and a swarm of thumb-sized iridescent insects that coalesce into a roughly humanoid shape, a partial colony of the hive mind Zeltor. You risk execution by meeting us, Ticress says, voice resonating like struck crystal. As do we. We've all suspected the system was rigged, Elena replies, activating a small device that projects evidence Pelax provided. Millennia of manipulated test results displayed as undeniable data patterns. But suspicion isn't enough anymore. The Nerdle's gills flutter in agitation. What possible recourse exists? The Concordat controls everything: communication networks, travel permissions, resource distribution. Elena proposes something unprecedented: a secret coalition of lesser species to gather conclusive evidence and potentially challenge the Concordat's authority. What makes her proposal unique isn't the rebellion itself. There have been countless crushed uprisings in Concordat history, but humanity's approach. We don't seek to replace one dominant species with another, she explains, displaying a simple diagram showing interconnected nodes rather than a hierarchical pyramid. We propose a true meritocracy where all species contribute based on their actual strengths, equality without uniformity. The Zeltor swarm buzzes skeptically, individual insects breaking formation then reforming. Pretty words. Many dominators speak of equality until they gain power. Elena smiles. Which is why humans won't lead this alliance. We'll establish a rotating leadership council with built-in limitations on any single species' authority. Ticress touches the wall, crystalline fingers interfacing directly with the station's systems. The Concordat Central Council is meeting now, discussing a human contamination problem. They fear your ideas are spreading. Good, Elena says. Fear makes them careless. Later that week, when Elena's team is scheduled to return to Earth for supposed further evaluation, 7 different species simultaneously experience technical malfunctions that create the perfect distraction for the humans' vessel to divert to a hidden location. The Alliance of Equals holds its first clandestine meeting deep within an asteroid field where Concordat sensors are blocked by natural radiation, each representative arriving separately through carefully choreographed accidents and navigational errors. The meeting unfolds in a chamber hastily adapted for multiple biospheres. Stealth field generators, smuggled in piece by various accomplices, ensure their discussions remain undetected. 23 species are represented, each bringing unique grievances against the Concordat hierarchy. Our first priority must be communication, Elena explains. We need a network the Concordat can't monitor. A small, transparent being floats forward. A juvenile drift nomad, whose species navigates the void between stars without technology. We can carry messages, it offers, voice a melodic vibration. Our kind exists partially in subspace. The Concordat cannot track us. Villain, a massive silicon entity resembling a walking crystal formation, speaks next. My people can provide secure meeting locations within our hollow moons. Our crystalline structures naturally disrupt Concordat scanning patterns. One by one, species offer their unique capabilities, abilities the Concordat had dismissed as evolutionarily inferior or irrelevant. The Mist Collective's quantum entanglement communication, the Nerdle's deep ocean havens beyond Concordat sensors, the Zeltor's distributed consciousness that can coordinate simultaneous actions across vast distances. Elena watches with growing hope as the framework of resistance takes shape. When Earth's turn comes, she activates a secure transmission. Phase 2 activated, she announces. On view screens, images appear of Earth's unified defense forces retooling for production. We offer manufacturing capacity, tactical innovation, and something the Concordat has never understood: the human capacity to unify against common threats, while celebrating our internal diversity. In the shadows, unnoticed by most attendees, Pelax observes with wide, luminescent eyes. The small alien records everything through implanted memory crystals, preparing the most dangerous message in Concordat history. The revolution has begun, Pelax whispers to no one. And it started with words, not weapons. The Concordat's Central Archive, a massive data repository buried beneath the artificial moon orbiting the capital world of Hegemonia, has never been successfully breached. Its security systems operate on 14 different technological principles simultaneously, making them supposedly impossible to circumvent. Supposedly, Lieutenant Maya Okonkwo says with a grin, as her custom-built quantum interface creates a cascading failure that temporarily blinds 3 of those systems. The infiltration team moves with precision born of weeks of rehearsal. Ticress's crystalline body disrupts energy barriers by vibrating at their resonant frequency. The Nyrdal Morovol secretes a biochemical compound that temporarily fools biometric scanners. A Zeltor Scout swarm forms living conduits that bypass damaged circuits, and Alina leads with old-fashioned human instinct for finding vulnerabilities. In the heart of the archives, they access the Concordat's most classified historical records, not the sanitized public versions, but the true accounts kept for the ruling council's eyes only. The evidence is damning beyond their worst suspicions. Holoprojections show thousands of years of deliberately manipulated test results with notations about which species showed dangerous potential and required evolutionary tier adjustment. One disturbing file details the strategic elimination of 17 troublesome species who questioned the hierarchy, their homeworlds now listed in public records as lost to natural disasters. Most shocking is the evolutionary truth. Genetic records show most sentient species have remarkably similar cognitive potential despite physical differences. And the most damning discovery of all, the Tier 1 species, those who rule the Concordat, were actually technological latecomers who discovered the abandoned megastructures of an extinct precursor civilization. They reverse-engineered this technology and established the tier system specifically to prevent any challenges to their stolen authority. They're frauds, Alina whispers, as the full implications sink in. Their entire supremacy is based on a lie. The Archive's emergency alarms shriek to life, their presence finally detected. As elite security forces converge, the team executes their backup plan. While Alina and Morovol secure the evidence in specialized data crystals, the others create diversionary breaches throughout the facility. The desperate escape becomes a running battle through maintenance tunnels. When security drones corner them at a crucial junction, Ticress makes a decision without hesitation. The Petran's crystalline body begins to glow with building energy. "My people will know the truth," Ticress says simply, then detonates in a blinding flash that melts through the reinforced bulkhead, creating both an escape route and a barrier of superheated material that buys the others precious minutes. At the final security checkpoint, a Zeltor swarm sacrifices half its collective consciousness to overwhelm the neural-linked defensive grid, allowing Alina and Morovol to reach the waiting stealth shuttle. As they break atmosphere, Alina clutches the data crystal containing enough evidence to shatter 1,000 years of Concordat lies. Courage and sacrifice aren't evolutionary traits exclusive to any species, Morovol observes quietly, morning gills darkened to deep blue. They're choices available to all. The shuttle rendezvous with an unmarked vessel hidden in Hegemonia's dense asteroid belt. Inside the vessel's secure communications center, Alina plugs the data crystal into a transmitter built from combined Earth and Alliance technologies. "Do it," she commands. Lieutenant Okonkwo activates the system. Transmission complete. The data package has been delivered to all 23 Alliance member worlds. Alina stares at the confirmation screen, her expression grim. This is the point of no return. Once we broadcast this to the general population, the Concordat will respond with overwhelming force. Morovol finishes. Millions could die. Billions already have. Elena counters, bringing up the classified genocide files. And billions more will if we do nothing. A soft chime interrupts them. An incoming transmission from Earth. Director Chen's face appears on screen, his normally stoic expression showing rare emotion. Chimera Protocol Phase 3 is complete, he reports. Earth's defense grid is fully operational, and our allies in the Proxima Centauri system have successfully replicated the technology. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Elena takes a deep breath and turns to her assembled team. Representatives from 7 different species, all watching her with expressions of determination despite their alien features. The Concordat built its power on stolen technology and maintained it through lies and genocide. She says, "We build ours on truth and willing sacrifice. Send the evidence to every communication hub in Concordat space, and may whatever gods exist help us all." The Alliance leadership debates strategy for weeks in their hidden base within a hollowed-out comet at the edge of Concordat space. Some advocate for gradual information leaks to build resistance slowly. Others prefer targeted strikes against Concordat infrastructure. Elena proposes something bolder. Dictatorships thrive in shadows and whispers. We need to step into the light. On what would have been Earth's evaluation day, the date when humanity would have been officially assigned its lowly tier, they make their move. Simultaneously across 83 worlds, Alliance operatives seize control of public broadcasting nodes for precisely 8 minutes and 27 seconds, the standard duration of a Concordat hierarchy announcement. Instead of the expected declaration of Earth's tier assignment, citizens across Concordat space witness Elena standing alongside representatives from 17 lesser species. Behind them, a simple banner displays their new emblem. Diverse alien hands joined in a circle. For too long, we have lived under a lie. Elena begins, her image projected in spectacular public spaces from the crystal spires of hegemonia to the humblest mining outposts. Today, we declare the formation of the Free Species Alliance. The broadcast systematically presents their evidence, the manipulated tests, the fabricated evolutionary history, the Tier 1 species Great Deception. It concludes with their invitation. All species may join as equals, with representation proportional to population, but with equal rights guaranteed to all. The Concordat's response is swift and furious. Within hours, their formidable military fleet mobilizes to crush what their Supreme Archon denounces as evolutionary terrorism. Public executions of suspected sympathizers begin in major population centers. The newly christened Free Alliance, though growing daily with defections, remains heavily outgunned. Their first military council reveals the stark reality. They possess less than 8% of the Concordat's firepower. Then we don't fight on their terms, says Admiral Hiroshi Tanaka, formerly Earth's most decorated naval commander. He unveils guerrilla tactics adapted from centuries of human asymmetric warfare, combined with the unique abilities of member species. The amphibious Nyrdal establish underwater bases on ocean worlds, where Alliance ships can hide beneath kilometers of water, undetectable by standard Concordat sensors. The remaining Terran crystalline engineers develop communication systems that operate through naturally occurring mineral formations, creating an untraceable network using planets themselves as transmission media. The Zeltor Hivemans coordinate simultaneous hit-and-run attacks across vast distances with perfect synchronization impossible for conventional command structures. When Concordat forces corner an Alliance refugee convoy near the Cygnus Reach, a small team of human and Nyrdal pilots execute a desperate maneuver, using the gravity wells of 3 adjacent neutron stars to slingshot their ships at relativistic speeds, arriving behind the Concordat fleet to disable their engines while the refugees escape. The engagement becomes known as the Cygnus Miracle and spreads across underground channels throughout Concordat territory. The Alliance won't win through superior firepower, Elena tells her war council as reports of new defections arrive hourly. We win by showing the galaxy a better way to exist. The first major test of Alliance resolve comes sooner than expected. A massive Concordat battle group enters orbit around Aquila Prime, a water world populated primarily by Neirdal civilians. The fleet commander's ultimatum is broadcast planet-wide. Surrender all Alliance sympathizers within 6 planetary rotations or face orbital bombardment. Elena and the Alliance Council face an impossible choice: reveal their limited military capabilities in a potentially disastrous confrontation, or abandon millions of civilians to Concordat retribution. There must be another option. Elena insists during the emergency session. Lieutenant Okonkwo, studying the tactical display, suddenly straightens. The Concordat battle group, they're using standard formation protocols. Their command ship maintains position at precisely calculated coordinates relative to planetary gravity, which means their positioning is predictable. Finishes Kexhall, a Zeltor tactical specialist whose swarm body ripples with excitement. If we could recalibrate Aquila's oceanic resonance frequency. Admiral Tanaka smiles grimly. Precisely. We can't outgun them, but we can outsmart them. The plan comes together in hours. Neirdal engineers will manipulate their homeworld's vast oceans to create a precisely calculated tidal surge. Meanwhile, a small Alliance strike team will plant gravitic disruptors at strategic points in the planet's crust. The combined effect will create a momentary fluctuation in the planet's gravitational field, explains Moroval. Not enough to harm the planet or its inhabitants, but enough to force an emergency repositioning of the entire Concordat fleet, Elena finishes, creating a brief window where their automated defense systems will be recalibrating, and giving us exactly 17 seconds to deploy this. Admiral Tanaka adds, revealing schematics for Earth's contribution. A network of quantum-entangled EMP devices specifically calibrated to Concordat shield frequencies. The Concordat leadership, the Council of Nine, gathers in their orbital fortress above Hegemonia. For the first time in centuries, they meet in person rather than through proxies, a sign of the crisis's severity. This contagion of defiance must be purged, declares Supreme Archon Vexel, his massive tentacular form occupying the central dais. Implement contingency obedience. Across Concordat space, brutal reprisals begin against worlds merely suspected of Alliance sympathy. On the agricultural world Terraphis, Concordat warships sterilize half a continent for failing to meet resource quotas, supposedly proving Alliance sabotage. On Bluemere, a Neirdal colony, they alter the oceanic chemistry to cause mass respiratory failure, a lesson in loyalty broadcast on official channels. These atrocities backfire spectacularly. Uncensored footage spreads through the Alliance's crystalline communication network, allowing billions to witness the stark contrast between Concordat cruelty and Alliance principles. When Alliance medical ships arrive at Bluemere with emergency treatments developed by human and Zeltor biochemists working in unprecedented collaboration, defections to the Alliance triple overnight. The pivotal moment comes at the gas giant Caliban, Elena's command vessel, returning from a diplomatic mission to recruit the reclusive drift nomads, finds itself cornered by 3 Concordat dreadnoughts, each possessing firepower exceeding her entire battle group. Commander, her tactical officer reports grimly. Conventional escape routes are blocked. They're demanding surrender and public recantation of Alliance principles. Elena studies the swirling storms visible on Caliban's surface below them, bands of turbulence in stunning amber and crimson. What's the atmospheric composition again? She asks. What follows enters Alliance legend. Rather than surrender, Elena orders all ships to dive directly into Caliban's upper atmosphere, a maneuver considered suicidal given the crushing pressures and caustic chemical storms. The pursuing dreadnoughts hesitate, then follow. Deep within the churning clouds, Elena's pilots execute a complex series of maneuvers developed through thousands of simulations run by human intuition and Zeltor computational precision. They use the massive storm systems as cover while precisely calculating the slingshot trajectory that channels the gas giant's magnetic field through their ship's modified shields. When they emerge on the opposite side of Caliban, The electromagnetic pulse they've generated shorts out two pursuing dreadnoughts completely. The third, partially shielded, manages to maintain life support, but loses weapons capabilities. Its commander watches in disbelief as Alina's significantly smaller vessels surround his crippled behemoth. Instead of destroying the helpless dreadnought, Alina opens communications. "We're sending medical teams to assist your injured. When they're stabilized, your crew can choose. Return to the Concordat or consider joining the Alliance. Either way, you leave here alive. That's the difference between us." Within days, footage of this encounter, recorded by the Dreadnought's own systems, spreads across Concordat space. The Battle of Caliban becomes irrefutable evidence that determination and innovation can overcome supposedly superior technology, and that mercy can exist even in warfare. As the conflict escalates, previously neutral mid-tier species begin passive resistance against the Concordat. Supply shipments mysteriously fail to arrive at military installations. Intelligence about Alliance movements proves consistently inaccurate. The Mist Collective, officially neutral but controlling key transportation hubs, develops navigational difficulties that delay Concordat reinforcements while prioritizing civilian evacuations from conflict zones. Within months, the Alliance grows from 17 founding species to over 100 members and sympathizers. The Concordat's once impenetrable hierarchy begins to fracture from within. The outcome at Aquila Prime becomes the template for Alliance resistance. When the Concordat battle group enters standard bombardment formation, the coordinated manipulation of the planet's oceanic resonance creates precisely the gravitational anomaly they predicted. As the Concordat vessels execute emergency repositioning protocols, Alliance ships emerge from subspace at predetermined coordinates. The quantum-entangled EMP devices deploy simultaneously, temporarily disabling shields and weapons across the entire Concordat fleet. Rather than capitalizing with destructive force, the Alliance executes what becomes known as the Rise Doctrine, offering amnesty to any crew willing to defect while neutralizing only military capabilities, not lives. By the engagement's end, 17 Concordat vessels have joined the Alliance, their crews witnessing firsthand the difference between oppression and collaboration. The remaining ships retreat in disarray, their commanders unable to explain how inferior species could possibly coordinate such a sophisticated attack. Supreme Archon Vexel, upon receiving news of the Aquila Prime debacle, shatters his ceremonial staff of office, a 1,000-year-old artifact symbolizing Concordat authority. "Find their central command," he orders, voice vibrating with barely controlled rage. "Find Earth. We will make such an example of humanity that no species will dare defy the natural order again." In the shadowed corners of the council chamber, Junior Archon Kirvex, youngest member of the ruling Nine, watches with growing unease. Raised on absolute certainty of Tier 1 superiority, recent events have planted dangerous seeds of doubt. Secretly, Kirvex begins accessing classified files, searching for truth in the Concordat's carefully curated history. In the Obsidian Tower at Hegemonia's heart, the Council of Nine conducts a desperate ritual not performed in 2,000 years, the Communion of Last Resort. 9 massive consciousness transfer chambers link their minds directly, bypassing the usual safeguards that prevent full neural integration between the ruling species. The hierarchy disintegrates. Mental voices chorus in disturbing unison. Activate the Mind Forge. Deep within a black hole's accretion disk, where space-time itself provides both power source and concealment, automated systems awaken the Concordat's ultimate weapon. Developed from forbidden precursor technology, the Mind Forge can generate targeted psychic waves capable of causing mass neural disruption across entire planetary populations, effectively lobotomizing a species while leaving their physical bodies intact for continued labor. Their target, Earth, to make an example of the species that started the Defiance. The Alliance learns of this plan through their growing intelligence network. Captain Raj Shah of Alliance Intelligence presents the grim findings to the Emergency Council. The Mindforge is being escorted by 47 capital ships, the largest fleet concentration in Concordat history. We lack the firepower to stop them conventionally. Horror spreads through the council chamber as the full implications become clear. Billions of human lives hang in the balance, with Earth's population facing neurological devastation that would render them perfect slaves, technically alive but devoid of will or identity. In humanity's darkest hour, Elena isolates herself for 36 hours with representatives from each Alliance species. When she emerges, she presents an audacious plan that requires perfect coordination between all member species. Impossible, declares Moroval after studying the proposal. The energy requirements alone would be impossible for any single species, Elena interrupts, but not for all of us together. The plan requires technologies never before combined. Zeltor Hivemans provide unprecedented computational power to calculate precise wormhole coordinates accurate to the subatomic level. Surviving Petron crystalline engineers modify their bodies to serve as living focusing arrays for reality warping energy beams. Human physicists contribute theoretical models that even the Concordat hasn't developed. The Nirdal contribute biologically generated anti-radiation fields that will protect the operators from the cosmic radiation the process will unleash. The Alliance's remaining military forces gather to create a diversionary attack that will draw Concordat attention, while a small, specialized strike team prepares for the real mission: the creation of a temporary artificial wormhole that will allow them to bypass the Concordat's defenses entirely and emerge directly alongside the Mindforge. On the eve of the operation, Elena records a message to be delivered to Earth regardless of the outcome. What makes humanity special isn't our technology or our biology. It's our capacity to inspire others to hope for something better. Today, we prove that capacity transcends species. The operation begins with the largest space battle in galactic history. Alliance forces engage the Concordat fleet in a seemingly suicidal frontal assault. Meanwhile, at a precisely calculated point in empty space, Elena's strike team activates their experimental wormhole generator. Reality tears open. A swirling vortex of impossible colors connecting 2 points in space that should be light years apart. Elena's vessel leads the way through, emerging directly beside the Mindforge as it prepares to fire on Earth. In the ensuing chaos, Alliance ships manage to cripple the weapon's defenses, but the Mindforge's automatics initiate a failsafe, a cascading quantum reaction that will amplify its destructive pulse by orders of magnitude, potentially affecting hundreds of worlds instead of just Earth. Elena's voice remains steady over the command channel. Fall back to safe distance. I'm going in. Her ship accelerates toward the Mindforge's core. Sensors show her manually rerouting all power to the experimental dimensional disruptor they've developed, a device powerful enough to shunt the Mindforge partially out of normal spacetime, containing the explosion. Elena, there's no time for you to set the autopilot, her second-in-command protests. I know, she responds simply. It needs to be done manually. Tell Earth. Tell them this gift comes from all of us. Her ship vanishes into the Mindforge's superstructure. Moments later, space itself seems to fold inward as the weapon implodes, collapsing into a self-contained pocket dimension with a final burst of energy that manifests as a brilliant flash visible across half the galaxy. The Mindforge's destruction creates a shockwave, both literal and figurative, across Concordat space. Quantum disturbances from its implosion disrupt the neural link technology, connecting the Council of Nine, effectively decapitating the Concordat's leadership structure. Within days, their carefully maintained hierarchy collapses entirely. Initially, chaos threatens to engulf known space. On formerly oppressed worlds, violent uprisings target anyone associated with the old regime. Several mid-tier species attempt to establish themselves as the new dominant powers, while others retreat into isolation. Ancient resentments surface in border skirmishes that threaten to escalate into full interspecies wars. The nascent alliance finds itself facing an even greater challenge than defeating the Concordat, preventing the galaxy from fracturing into 1,000 warring factions. In this critical moment, Commander Tariq Hassan, Alina's chosen successor, calls an emergency session of all Alliance representatives. The meeting takes place on a massive habitat constructed in high Earth orbit, its council chamber designed with adaptable environments to accommodate every member species comfortably, a physical manifestation of their principles. Before her final mission, Hassan announces, activating a holographic display. Commander Rice prepared for this moment. She called it the Rice Protocol, a transition framework for after the Concordat's fall. The gathering falls silent as Alina's image appears. Her recorded message is brief. We didn't fight just to tear down one hierarchy and replace it with another. We fought to build something entirely new. The Rice Protocol establishes a revolutionary interstellar governance model, where species are categorized not by fabricated evolutionary tiers, but by their chosen contributions to galactic civilization. The structure resembles an interconnected web rather than a pyramid, with specialized councils focusing on different aspects of interstellar cooperation. The Explorers Guild combines the Drift Nomad's natural navigation abilities with human curiosity and Zeltor collective perception to chart previously unknown regions. The Sciences Consortium pairs Terran crystalline computing with Neridal biochemistry and human theoretical frameworks to solve previously intractable problems. The Diplomatic Corps draws members from all species with aptitude for cross-cultural communication. Most controversially, the protocol explicitly offers the former Tier 1 species full participation rather than punishment, acknowledging that genuine change requires breaking cycles of vengeance. Many will refuse, Hassan acknowledges as heated debate erupts. But the door remains open. That's what makes us different from them. Implementation proves challenging. During the first 5 years, 3 attempted coups by former Concordat loyalists are thwarted. Several species attempt to withdraw from the alliance and establish independent empires. Economic systems that functioned under forced hierarchy require complete reinvention. The turning point comes during the Proxima crisis, when a stellar instability threatens to destroy a major Neridal colony world. Former enemies, including several reformed Concordat species, work together in the largest evacuation effort in galactic history. Using Terran crystal tech and human engineering, they construct massive solar shields that save the planet and its 15 billion inhabitants. Gradual, sometimes painfully slow progress continues. Former oppressors learn to serve alongside the once oppressed. Species discover complementary abilities that create opportunities impossible under the old system. The alliance expands beyond former Concordat space, encountering new civilizations who join willingly rather than through conquest. A century later, a new galactic museum opens at the former Concordat capital, now renamed Convergence. Its central chamber houses an interactive memorial that tells the story of the transition from hierarchy to cooperation. Visitors from thousands of worlds stand together beneath its central monument, a life-sized holographic recreation of representatives from all member species standing as equals. The simple inscription beneath it reads, "From the species that taught us defiance came our greatest lesson, that true strength lies not in domination, but in lifting others to their full potential." In the monument's center floats a perfect recreation of Alina's command insignia, recovered from the dimensional rift created by the Mindforge's destruction. Quantum fluctuations cause it to shimmer with all the colors of the spectrum, visible differently to each species that observes it. Humanity, once destined for obscurity as a lowly Tier 4 species, becomes known across the galaxy not as conquerors but as catalysts, the species that broke the chains of a false hierarchy and replaced it with something greater. Their legacy lives,